This video is brought to you by Ravenscraft Realty of Northeast Missouri.
Well, fell a little short of my goal. I was hoping for 300, but out of seed. You could tell my vacuum dropped. So, still, not too bad. Pretty sure that's the most beans I've ever planted in a day's time. Got to drive across the field here, make sure I don't drive off in the bay. Again, $2.95 for the day, not too bad. Got along pretty good. We did this all in 2 fields, both really long rows. I did lose probably an hour and a half with the rain blow in the front end of the tractor again. Same one I had a couple of videos back, and had to mess around with some pivots. Had one that wasn't communicating right. Turned out to be the antenna got chewed in half by some critters of some type. But anyway, if every day was like this, wouldn't take very long. Finished up the last Mississippi River bottom field last night. Ready to spin myself around, fold up, head to the Woodland neighborhood. Got 3 farms there, and then one more farm up on North River. This is Saturday morning. Hopefully, along about Tuesday midday or so, we're done.
Hello everybody. As I'm sure you are all aware, it's Father's Day weekend, and I actually was not going to come back home this weekend until I figured out that we had a 3-day weekend kind of deal at the university, and had a recruiting event today for college, and decided after that, I was like, well, I guess I can go home now. So I actually didn't tell Dad that I was coming home, so it'd be a surprise to him. It's like, hey, I'm back again. I also have not seen a super bad looking field of crops yet. Certainly feels good to be at home with the same junky Bauman bin and Brock bin that's unusable because of the Bauman bin. Oh well, maybe someday this one will disappear. I retract my former statement. It's a Butler bin, not a Brock. Oh, the sweet sounds of spring. Well, almost summer now. Now, Dad's got to get some work out of me, so I'm walking a quarter of a mile to go get his truck, and then I'm heading out because I don't have any water and I'm thirsty. You have any words for the viewing audience?
Gonna work off that belly.
Hey, now. All right, I will see you later. I love being home. I also like Columbia too. Yep, walking here in the streets of the big city of Woodland. One of the neighbors was driving by and I got offered a free ride for 300 feet, so I saved myself a couple minutes. Here's the old pickup and seed tender. Just gonna move this over to those bins over there. They're somewhere over there. Today's mission, we're gonna take the 1086 here, hook up to the planter, and we're gonna go replant some terrace channels that drowned out again for the 3rd or 4th year in a row. We're pretty sure terrace channels are drowning out because the waterway is plugged up. So probably gonna have to do some scraper action here this fall. This is the best 1086 ever made. Before we take off, I need to flip the drawbar upside down because it's way too high right now. I also need to replace this downforce spring that broke here. They break. It's an old planter, probably original to the planter. But this doesn't appear to be very difficult, so go me. Okay, we're fueled up, ready to go replant. And yes, I am wearing shorts today with steel toe lace up work boots because it's hot. I don't like being hot. I like being cool, and shorts are cool. I'm gonna get some weird looks today going down the road. I got graphite in all the boxes, all the clutches are flipped, the hitch is level, and not rocking with the markers today since we're replanting, but I don't know how much I actually have to do. At least probably 4 or 5 terrace channels and maybe a little bit more. And there's a low spot out here. I'll show you guys when we get over there. All right, this is what we're dealing with. This is where the water drains. It follows the contour of the ground, comes out here through the terrace, and that's actually where it's supposed to go. But the waterway is kind of filled in over the years and doesn't drain like it's supposed to. So therefore we end up with this. The object here is not actually to produce a whole bunch of corn. It's just to keep the weeds down. Because when you have bare spots like this, or really thin spots, the weeds are able to come up a lot easier. This spot here lays really close to this lake, and sometimes lake water comes out here, so we don't get any corn here. But it's all right, because I am replant man today. This was actually a decent sized area, and I pity the poor soul who has to shell this corn. I'm sorry. 1086 has been doing pretty good here on this 6-row planter. Everything's closing up super nice and really pretty okay planting conditions. Now, if it could have come up the first time, that would have been better. I think that's enough 40-20 fun for a while. It's time to go back home, and I believe I'm supposed to go help people move around. Hey, at least I got to go plant something. This is actually the first time I've ever planted corn with this planter. Sweet! Got home, no problems, or at least none that are evident. Only minimal hearing loss. Could this be the greatest farming tool ever devised? No, I highly doubt it, because one thing exists, and that's Salford Vertical Tillage Tool. That's the single greatest farming implement ever created. Up here on our left is a classic example of why Salford has a spot for a jack on the rear end as well. Well, since all of my fun replant activities are done for the day, I'm gonna hang out with Dad for a while. He just finished up this place. There's like 125, 35, something like that acres here. The next place we're heading is a couple miles down the road, and it's quite a bit bigger, pretty nice big, good running bottom fields. So hopefully that goes well. You know, having a planter that folds this easy is really easy to take for granted. So is having a nice 8R to plant with. And so is having a nice pickup like that. I guess what I'm saying is it's easy to take a lot of things for granted, especially the people. This is a nice big 100-acre field here out front, and then there's like 80 acres back there. We're gonna no-till it, because why not? I decided it's now cutoff season. Yeah, check out that farmer's tan. But anyways, we're not in the field right now, mostly because Dad we found 4 closing wheels that had the bearings go out on them at the same time. Luckily, this is the one time I've had something that we actually needed. So right here are 12 closing wheels that I was actually gonna put on my planter, but frankly, I kind of ran out of initiative to do it because the spike and rubber combo that I have on it now does a pretty good job. And so I spent close to $1,000 on this stuff, and just sat unused for a year and a half. But we're gonna use them today. Well, as it turns out, I should have brought all 12 of them that I had, because we had about 7 or 8 that we had to replace. But when the bearings are bad, you can take the whole thing and move it about an inch either way. So this is good, that's good. I don't think we have one that's bad on the planter still. How much is that little doggy in the window? Here's our custom bean planting guy, running an 8310R and a 1795 1224. Now, when you're used to a 40-foot planter, or even a 60-footer, 30 feet doesn't feel like a lot. But earlier today, when I was running that 4020 and 6-row planter, this field's about twice as big. Okay, quick PSA. Sorry I haven't been uploading very regularly. Full-time job is a little more than I thought it was going to be. And also, I have a friend in Pilot Grove, Missouri who is looking for a complete, doesn't have to be running, Steiger Panther 2. Not a Turbo, not a Turbo Tiger, not a Cougar, not a Panther 3, Panther 2. And if you have anything, shoot me an email. Picture next is the thing that we need. It's about 6:30 in the morning here. I decided to get up early because I'm gonna go run that 8310R and the 30-foot planter until that guy gets back at around noon. And Dad told me last night, I was half asleep when he came in and told me that this tractor needed fuel. So I'm not actually sure what truck I was supposed to take or how much fuel I was supposed to put in it, but brought the white Dodge service truck here. It had like 350 gallons of fuel on it. So I'll just take it back to the house because someone might need it this morning, and I don't want to have it, 21 miles away from home. And I'll just drive my pickup, the silver one, back out to the tractor and planter, and that'll be that. It's just an extremely peaceful morning down here in the Old North River bottom. In the spring of 2017, I was tasked with disking down here, and because I think it had been prevent planted the year before, and I drove out here with no legal driver's license in old 1992 pickup, and it took me a while to get it done at 5-ish miles an hour, just because I wasn't aware that you could disc at 5.5 instead of just 5. So I was out here for had to have been at least 2 good days to get all this ground disc down, but it feels like forever ago. About a 45-minute trip from leaving the fuel pump here to getting to Foster's and then coming back. It's not bad. I just got through finishing this little patch here along 168. There's like an 1.5 acres here, and Jesus is in the cab with me today, so I told him to cover his ears because I said some Jesus words trying to plant this little field. There's like 200 and something tillable acres here, and there's about 58 in this field that I'm in. We call this the house field because there used to be a house here, but it's not anymore. So again, that's just like the pivot field in the bottom. There used to be a pivot, but there's not a pivot anymore because we took it out. And I know there's been some storms going on recently, and that's taken down a lot of trees, but the #1 cause of tree destruction in Marion County, Missouri is still probably the Goldingers. Andrews are going on okay. Got to make 3 passes because this is an 8310R with a 30-foot wide planter behind it. Can't quite get it turned around in 60 feet, so 90 gets it done. What would really be nice is if this was a 1632 model instead of a 1224, but is what it is. I'm doing something right now that some people choose to not do, and that is squaring up corners from Andros. It looks better, and it means that you're not turning around with the planter in the ground. Oh. So then you back yourself up, you set the planter back down, and then get on your mark, and you save some wear and stress on the planter. And it looks nicer too. I also need to figure out how to turn the volume down on this thing because I really can't hear myself think when this is buzzing at me. The guy that was running this last night had something to do this morning until noon, allegedly. And currently it's 11:54, almost out of seed. So I was hoping that I would not run out of seed and then he would have to put seed in it. But that's not how it worked out. Hey Jesus, can you do the thing that you did with the loaves of bread and the fishes, please? Except make it soybeans and put it in the essential commodity tanks on this planter. Well, we're having to use Suter's seed tender here. No automatic towel conduction, no automatic moving. It's just terrible, I tell you. I'm running about 8.5 or so miles an hour. It's smooth-ish. I mean, it's good enough for beans. Doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. And there's about 13 terraces here in this field, so kind of tired of going around them all the time. But it is what it is. Now, the guy that is running this planter, he's finally back, and he'll take over. I'm gonna go home because I need to mow a yard, and then I have to clean out my planter from the replant action yesterday, and then we're gonna go to Mimi's, and then we're gonna go to Columbia. And that's all she wrote. This farm is done. We actually only have one farm left, but I am not going to plant it. Gotta turn all of our hydraulic stuff off. This tractor, we're actually not running the planter on the Power Beyond, we're running it on hydraulic number 5. And I gotta unlock the 3-point hitch so that we can fold this thing up. Public service announcement. Highway 168 is too narrow. You need like 3 feet of shoulder, and then it would be all right. I'm kind of glad that I'm not planting this last farm here, because honestly, that's a pain. Terraces everywhere because there's water coming into it from like 15 different directions, and not a super prime Class A piece of farm ground. And home we go. It is 2:30. So up here on our left is something that's very, very high on the list of things that I don't want to drag through the middle of town. The mowing has been completed, and now I'm starting on the fun planter cleaning out activities. It's actually not that big of a deal because it's a 6-row planter, not a 12 or a 24, but still kind of nonetheless. Put the 3-point down because we can't have that up when we start the tractor. Well, that wasn't very difficult. It took all of 10 minutes and 14 seconds. And cleaning one of these old 7000s out, it's pretty simple. Flip the box, or you flip this and take the lid off the box and then dump your seed out, and then flip the box around so the seed falls out of the meter, and then you put it back on. And then rinse and repeat times however many row units you have. We are officially done with tillage, so no more tillage action, at least here.
Pulled into the last farm for beans for the year. Just put a little bit of seed in. Got a ditch over there I gotta go across and try to get enough in there so I can plant the whole side. It goes from these trees to, hard to tell, but those trees right there, about 165 acres maybe, somewhere in there. It's 5:30, so we won't get done today, but wrap her up in the morning, and then on to something else.
Goodbye, May. Your soft ears. And so another weekend comes to a close. Here's someone by Monroe City planting with like an 8400 and a 1790. The back row units, like the splitters, were in the upwards position, so I can only assume that he's planting corn. Okay, I have some Bradford action for everybody. We're using the blue dump truck and the 6210 with box blade to fill in some holes here in preparation for a field day. That's some pretty tame tractor action. We got the old 24 valve powered F750 little blue dump truck with the Napa Know-How mud flaps. And this box blade is actually meant for like a true 3-point, not a quick attach. So sometimes if you get it too full, it'll actually kind of fall off, but it is what it is. A fantastic operator such as myself can make pretty short work of a dump truck load of dirt. Yeah, you just back up, set the old blade down, forward. I'm going in B2 to spread it. And then you just kind of watch it and make sure you're getting a good cut. And you drag it out until it's level. It's about noon, so it's time for lunch. Can't pass up an opportunity to soak up some air conditioning. Here's 2 fields of corn that I planted side by side. This one, I planted it with this edge of the field and not that edge. And this edge has a giant to it. Once you get over the hill, the rows are really, really crooked. I'm not very proud of that, but I'll admit I planted it. And over, not this one, I am very proud of this field of corn. Rows are as straight as an arrow, except for the spot of mud I had to go around, which is probably drying up the plant now, but I digress. Well, my supervisor out here asked me, said, well, Chase, are you gonna put your corn planting job on YouTube? And I was like, oh, I guess. He told me he'd make fun of me for the ones that were crooked all year if I didn't own up to it. So I have to own up to it. To all you guys, I planted crooked rows. I also planted these nice straight rows here, so it's give and take. Pretty, pretty. Check this one out, boys. We have a Westfield MK80-51 8-inch auger, complete with rusty hole in the bottom, questionable hydraulic tip, and actually a functioning jack. However, we are missing a bearing. I have been tasked with going to Side Stricker in Mexico and staying there until I find out what kind of bearing I need or if they have it. I don't know if I really trust standing under this or not, but this auger's purpose is going to be for augering fertilizer out of a hopper bottom truck into a spreader, because we don't do ammonia down here. We can't for research reasons and practicality, but this is going to be our fertilizer auger, because why tear up a nice 13-inch auger when you can use the already questionable 8-inch auger? Bearing has been secured from Mexico Side Stricker. It is definitely hay season. I have some excellent fabrication to show you guys on our fantastic auger here. Sometimes the door doesn't close. Yeah, there's a little hole here under this patch that I scabbed on, and there's another one up there. I put this bearing on yesterday. Pretty cool. The auger tube has been turned into wildlife habitat.
Last half a pass across the field. We'll have the beans in. For the most part anyway. We do have a small spot in the bottom. The river was up in it. Kind of was too wet when we were down there. I'll go down and spot those in. Here, give the river a day or two more to go down and dry out. Just a couple acres, so we're gonna call this done. On to clean everything up, irrigating, hauling corn, mowing weeds, all the other miscellaneous stuff that we get to do. Good news, I got the pivot in Illinois putting on water. Had to get a quick lesson from my guys at Landmark Irrigation. Give me a lesson on how to make this thing work. We're used to electric pivots where you hit the start button, she takes off. That's the good news. Bad news, I had a half dozen nozzles plugged up, and now I'm soaking wet. Now they're trying to pinch them off and get them open back up. I got them open back up, but in the process, you get wet, and that water's cold coming out of the ground.
The corn maze corn is looking pretty good for being planted by yours truly and a finger pickup meter. Yeah, this is where my rows kind of doubled up here for 2 rows. No row shutoffs on 7,000, so this had to do. It really is a shame that this is going to have to be mowed over and turned into a corn maze, because this is one of the better looking fields of corn we have. And I'm pretty proud that I planted it. Rows are mostly straight. It's got a little bit of a wiggle once you get back into the sod where we didn't have a corn maze last year. But this area that's been farmed here for 2 or 3 years looks okay. Well, thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, subscribe, come back for more. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. You take care.